All right, we're good. We're good. Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to the pod, the W.A.Y.S podcast. We
Yeah.
appreciate you coming out. You guys are actually our first guests, so
True.
we really appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for having us.
So you asked, how did we find you guys? Let me see if I can find it right now because
I could try
it
to pull it up as
really
well.
was, yeah, it really was just a random TikTok, and I was like, man, Brett, check this out. I've never even seen this. Uh, okay,
Seen
so
anything
it
like
looks
it,
like
man?
it was from the TikTok page out of darts.
Yeah, sold it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're familiar with that one?
Yeah. I can tell you more about who those guys are if you want.
Sure. Yeah, go
Yep.
ahead.
Yeah. And then also, just for introductions, now that we're recording, I'm Jesse, the team captain of Magic Smoke.
I'm Ben, also Magic Smoke, and I'm Sarah.
Sweet. Okay, so that's the voices you'll hear in the background here. Yeah. So Out of Darts is basically the largest hobby-focused Nerf store. Um, you'll hear me use a variety of words like Nerf or speed dart or foam
Right.
flinging. Nobody knows what to call this hobby. That's actually probably a whole thing we could talk about. It's like an
Okay.
ongoing subject of debate. But basically, Out of Darts doesn't sell blasters that you would find at Walmart or Target.
Right.
They sell ones that are imported from China. Then they also sell parts like plastic tubes and springs and metal barrels and
Oh
screws.
wow.
Basically, all the pieces you would need to combine with your own 3D printed parts to make your own custom blaster. And what really has contributed to the hobby taking off as much as it has in the last few years has been the accessibility of high quality 3D printers. You can get a good one
Hmm.
now for $600, and they used to be several thousand, and they used to basically just be things that like rapid prototyping shops would have, but now you could have one in your house and it costs as much as your TV.
Oh.
Um, so
Oh
so
wow.
yeah, so Out of Darts' whole shtick is they sell uh, basically gear and parts for hobbyists, and yeah, the owner Luke is a really nice guy. I've played some games with him. He came out to a local game here in Maryland in
Shout out, Luke.
2020. Yeah, he's a former paintballer, um, and he took that passion for projectile based PvP sports and brought it over to Nerf as a business. And honestly, yeah, without them, the hobby would be a lot smaller. So I think that's really cool that you guys found out about it that way.
For sure, dude. I mean, yeah. I mean, Matt. Matt seen it, sent it to me, and was like, "I've never seen any. Like, we've heard of airsoft. You know, we've heard of like paintball. Not even competitively, just like in general. But like, we didn't know that Nerf had such a community, or even like a competition kind of league or like background. And so we were like, we've got to get these guys on the pod. We got to. This is crazy.
Yeah, well, and I would say you're talking to the right people as well, because yeah, Magic Smoke is a really strong competitive team.
Right.
We've won some of the biggest tournaments 2 years in a row. Both years that they've had the Maryland Foam Tournament, we've won
Okay.
that. Coming up in a month, so we're hoping to do well at that
Yeah.
again this year. Everybody else is
Three
two
peat.
months. It lives rent free in my brain. It's
Right.
basically next week.
Yeah, May next year is MFT 2025. It'll be the third year of the Maryland Foam Tournament.
Oh
So we're
wow.
hoping to bring home a third first place, but
Yeah.
everybody else is definitely going to give us a run for our money. The other teams continue to get better every year.
Yeah.
Right.
That was actually one of my questions. Is like the because in that video, you guys are not at the championship in that video, right? In the TikTok.
I don't think I don't know which one this is. I don't have TikTok
Oh,
personally.
okay, okay. Well, in
Okay,
that
gotcha.
podcast that Jesse that you sent Matt, you guys had just won.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
and if you could put it into perspective for me, like you said, you guys are like a pretty a badass good team. Is it like how does that work? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there like a team? Is it like a bracket, like 24 teams, or is it like how does it explain it, please?
So I think just for like scale of like where this is coming from is at MLT 2024, the one we won last year.
Right.
We were competing against teams from like areas like Florida, Ohio, California.
What?
There were Singaporeans there.
Yeah, there were a couple
What?
Singaporeans?
Yeah, like when it's like people come from all over to play this because it is like the premier tournament. It is the premier Nerf tournament.
Whoa. Okay. I mean, you
So
guys were
this is
2012
like
Patriots.
this is like an international sport at this point, right?
So 2023 and 2024 felt pretty different.
Yeah.
In 2023, the average team was still kind of finding their footing. I would say in 2024, even the less good teams, like relatively speaking, were really strong compared to 2023 teams, because just the amount of practice everyone has put in collectively has paid off.
Yeah, it's like the general format of the tournament is there's a group stage round robin for playoff seeding.
Yeah.
Where you play some number of games in a round robin format to earn points, seeded based on points, and then single elimination playoffs.
Okay.
So like once they hit like top 8, like pretty much within the top 8, those teams are all pretty much like the best team of their region, if not multiple best teams from a region.
Okay.
Okay.
And when you say the round robin, do you mean it's like is it different games, as in like this is a death match, this is a domination, this is a zombies, or is it just like, random team, first, capture the flag, or what?
So each tournament has its own play style. The competitive, the biggest competitive play styles at rule sets would be Flag Dash. That's started here on the East Coast at our local club in Maryland.
Nice.
There's the Foam Pro Tour Send Zone play style, which I personally don't like as much, but it was one of the first ones. And then there's the King of the Hill play style, which originated out in California. And the first two are both single life, so when you get hit, you're just out.
Oh wow.
The King of the Hill is unique in that the games go for 6 minutes instead of 2 minutes, and
Oh,
you can
wow.
respawn back on your team's side. So that's a little bit more endurance based. I think it feels a little more casual just because you can respawn, so you can make mistakes and have time to come back from it.
Right.
Flag Dash is our team's favorite mode. It's hard to know if it's our favorite because we're good at it, or if we're good at it because it's our
Nice.
favorite.
Nice.
Yeah.
There it is. Flag Dash, the scoring, basically it's a 5v5. You get 2 points for being the first player to touch the flag in the middle. You get 1 point for each player that you eliminate, so up to 5. And then you get 4 points for taking the flag to the enemy's starting line. So push it all the way to their end zone, to make a football analogy, I guess.
Okay.
So the catch is that the game ends when all 5 players are dead, or when the flag is pushed. So if you want the full possible points, full 10 points, you have to take out 4 players, be the first to touch the flag, and then you got to leave that last guy alive and suppress him and keep him busy while you run the flag, and that takes a
Wow.
coordination.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
there's a lot of strategy. I didn't even
This
a
is
lot more than
far
I
more
assumed.
complex
Yeah,
than I
yeah,
thought it
for
would be.
sure.
Like
So
playing
teams
chess
that are
out there.
Awesome.
So basically, teams that are made of good individuals, who are good at getting in those 1v1 gunfights and winning them consistently,
Right.
they'll often get 7 points. They'll send somebody fast to touch the flag, they'll wipe out the enemy team. But if you actually want the full 10, which in a round robin style tournament, your cumulative points
Yeah.
is what determines your ranking. So you
Matters.
have to not just win by a little bit, you need to be beating each team by as much as you possibly can to do better than the other good teams. So basically, to get the difference between a team that's just like a group of good individuals and a true team is how many of those 10 pointers they can score, how many of those successful flag runs they can push. Because if you're winning, I mean, you're not pushing the flag when you're losing, right? But when you're winning, you need to be able to realize that you're winning, look around, see where your teammates are, see that one of them's running the flag, and then keep that last guy busy and not let the flag runner get out, but without just running up and shooting that last guy, because then you rob your team of those 4 points that they would have scored.
Dang. Okay.
It sounds
Go ahead. Go ahead, man.
it sounds pretty complex. No, you're good. Really, I mean, trying to keep track of all that sounds pretty intense. I mean, just as a group, what do you guys think? Do you do differently than the other teams that makes you that much better than them to go
Something's
back to
working.
back?
Something's
Yeah,
working.
something's
So
killing the game.
yeah, so I have a there's just a running joke within our team. Whenever something goes well, we say it's thanks to the power of friendship. But that really
Right.
is year
So
one
true.
is we all like each other. I know it sounds basic, but
No, that's
uh, some folks will have drama, they'll
yeah.
have issues, they don't want to hang out, or they don't, So having a team that at least all gets along, and in most cases, like we're hanging out outside of Nerf,
It's
just
that
having
it's that cohesion, baby. You already know. Like the
exactly.
cohesion matters so much. You know.
And so that leads naturally to having good communication
For
on the
sure.
field. My teammates can hear because we're shouting at each other almost the whole match. Like if you
Yeah.
listen to paintball players play, it sounds similar in that they're just constantly calling out opponent locations and moves that they're doing and stuff.
Right.
My teammates can hear from like my tone of voice what I'm trying to communicate because they're
Right.
just used to hearing it so much. A classic example was this last year. Sarah and I went to a tournament and we were playing on a mixed team with some other players from other teams that we like. And there was somebody running up on Sarah's cover, and she couldn't see him because he was on the other side of her cover. And if she sticks her head out to look at him, he's going to shoot at her.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying on your left, on your left, on your left with like increasing urgency, and she's heard me say this before,
Yeah.
and so she can basically just see through the cover to where the guy is, so she ends up running around to the other side of it behind him and shoots him in the back
Got him.
without seeing him. just is able to run around behind him just listening, and that's
Bamboozled him.
yeah, and from the other side, that's nuts. Like she just seems like she can see through walls.
Yeah.
But and it's tough to play against. But I would say that's what our team does really well is our ability to communicate and stay coordinated and support each other.
Heck yeah. That's awesome, dude. I mean, yeah. If
That is really awesome.
you guys play well in general, and then you play well together, like it's obviously working. You know, you're back to back champs. You know, looking for a third. So I think that's it works. It obviously works. That's so awesome. Matt, you want to go ahead with a couple questions, brother?
Yeah, sure. So I guess just next would be really, I was just interested in kind of what the community is like. I mean, we just found out that this was even a thing. So really, like, is it easy to get into, or are people in the community helpful, or kind of what's the barrier to entry there?
Yeah, so I would say the Nerf community is very accepting and very low barrier to entry, especially compared to other projectile based like PvP sports. Like
Mm.
personally, I also play airsoft. Ben plays airsoft. We've got a lot of people in the hobby used to play paintball. We've started getting Sarah into airsoft. So just based on those experiences with other hobbies, um, Nerf people are often friendlier. They're often less likely to get upset about the game. And I think that comes from a couple of things. First, it's just cheaper. You can pay somebody else to make you like a top of the line custom made blaster, and it'll be maybe $400 to $600. That's just getting started in airsoft. So
And this is for like
Easy.
cream of the crop.
yeah, yeah.
You can start
And
playing.
if you want to be competitive, you can get Dart Zone sells blasters that will do just fine in the competitive field for like $50 to $100 now.
God.
So those can be found at Target. So there's basically the barrier to entry is low enough that like pretty much anybody with like some sort of discretionary income can make it work.
Right.
The darts themselves are reusable. I mean, in tournaments we prefer to play with new ones, but even then we're paying a lot less for ammo than we are. And paintballers will blow $100 in a weekend just on the ammo alone.
And good luck picking
So
those little BBs up on airsoft. Boy, I'm not looking
yeah,
for no
yeah,
little BBs.
exactly, yeah. I would say airsoft ammo is probably about as cheap as Nerf. You're not reusing it, of course, but like
Right.
you're they're just little plastic pellets.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, like to get into the hobby is cheaper, and it is because of the link to 3D printing. At this point, there's still some of that vibe of like open source community designed stuff. So there are some designs that are proprietary that people want to sell you, but there's a lot out there that's really good. Like my favorite competitive blaster is called the Lynx, Lynx, like the cat.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like a few of you guys were
It's a good
rocking that
cat.
while you were
It's a
out
good
there, right?
cat.
Yeah, it's free. You know, the not only are the printable files free, but actually the 3D like CAD files are free, so you can make your own version of it
Oh.
very easily. If you know how to do CAD stuff, you can tweak it, and so there's endless like
Oh,
links.
that's cool.
Yeah, and the guy just like did that as a hobby. His name's Dan.
Mm.
Shout out Dan.
Yeah, I played against him at the tournament in California. I shot him with the blaster he designed.
Dang, got him.
Dang.
Be your own,
Full circle.
fellas. Full circle. Yeah, got
A
him.
little foreshadowing
Yeah,
there,
yeah, 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 yeah.
huh?
So yeah, but that I would say that yeah, the ability to spend like $60 on some hardware and $30 on some 3D printing filament and then slap together a good blaster from an open source design, that's just not something you see in other hobbies. So people are friendly for that reason.
Yeah.
And then I think just generally the darts hurt less.
True.
For competitive play, the energy gets pretty high. We can be between 3 and 4 joules, which would make a lot of airsofters cringe instinctively. But they, you have to keep in mind that the darts do have a rubber tip that's wider than an airsoft BB. So even some of the harder darts will not break skin as badly as an airsoft BB. So
Mm.
I think just generally from what I've seen, even playing at different airsoft fields with different energy limits, the more people are getting hurt physically, the more mad they're likely to get.
Yeah, true.
So they're
Right.
just having a better time when they're not, seeing red because they're in
Yeah.
physical pain after getting out.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it goes a long way. What would you guys say about the community?
It's just very accepting. It's really great. I've been in the hobby since I started playing HVZ, and even then, it was really nice to get into. It was easy for HVZ, at least. It was easy as going to Walmart and just getting. I think my first blaster was an Alpha Trooper
Yeah.
for HVZ.
What's HVZ?
It is Humans versus Zombies.
Ooh.
Is a
Now,
blaster tag game.
I seen that. Sorry to interrupt you. But I seen that that podcast you guys did, and then Jesse actually sent us y'all's YouTube links, and one of the Sarah, I believe one of your first videos is you. You might be out of college or something, but you guys are playing zombies, and
Yeah,
you've got this like pistol, and you're just fucking racking it back, bing, 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 just letting dudes down, dude. It's
that's what she does.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. I was like, what? Like, first, me and Matt were talking about. I was like, playing zombies would be so much fun. You've got what is it? Is it like a 50 or 25? What is the like human versus zombie breakdown?
So Humans versus Zombies is sort of like very different than competitive Nerf. It's
Mhm.
sort of developed in the like around 2010, 2011 when like the zombie craze was really hitting.
True.
But the like premise of it is basically like it's an infection based game mode
Right.
that basically we have some small number of starting zombies that continuously respawn after they get shot, and then the humans when they get tagged by a zombie become a zombie.
Right.
And every like club that plays HVZ has like a slightly different variance and things, but the general gist of it is the humans are out doing some sort of mission that puts them in danger, and throughout the course of that mission, as they're completing objectives, the zombies are chasing them down and hunting them, killing them, tagging them, and eventually the humans either complete through the mission objectives and complete like the final objective that is like if you're alive you win, or at the very end the zombies with their overwhelming numbers that eventually build up overrun the humans and everybody is a zombie and wins at the end.
That's that Left 4 Dead in real life. I like that.
Yeah, that sounds super fun,
Yeah,
dude.
that sounds
It,
awesome.
it's an incredibly fun game mode. HVZ is like where I started in Nerf back in 2016,
Right.
and like that's I played HVZ for like 7 years before I got into competitive Nerf.
Oh wow.
And that was actually one of my next questions. I mean, I know in your podcast they kind of addressed kind of how you came together as a team, but just individually, like what made you guys even want to start, like, oh, I'm gonna just start playing Nerf as like a game or like a competitive scene. Just if you want to go down the line, just kind of talk about your experience.
Yeah. For myself, it started in college. I went to college and I heard about the Humans versus Zombies game, and I was like, that sounds so cool. I've played with Nerf blasters as a kid, and you're telling me now I can run around with them on a whole college campus and people will be chasing me the whole day. Like, that sounds awesome. Unfortunately, everybody who was running the club previously, like when I first got there, they were all super seniors. They were just trying to finish their degree. They'd already been there more than 4 years. They just wanted to be done and get out. So I was like, well, I guess if I want to play this game, I have to run it myself. So I did a bunch of reading about the game and how it worked, and talked to the previous people who ran it, and I just started a club and ran the game. And of course, it went horribly. I didn't know what I was doing, but it was only downhill from there, because once you get the first couple game running experiences, you learn more and more about what it takes to actually organize. In the first game, I had 140 players. I barely knew what I was doing.
140?
That's a lot of
Yeah.
people, man.
Jesus Christ, that's a lot of people.
I don't know 140 people. You know.
I didn't either. I just put up a poster with the word zombie on it, and they all like joined up.
That's pretty cool.
This was like on the tail end of the zombie craze, like one of the seasons of The Walking Dead. It just dropped, and so people saw the word zombie and were like, "Holy shit, let's go!" They didn't even know Nerf plasters; they just wanted to like be zombies and stuff. Yeah, and so that's how I got started. And then after college, I took a couple years off because I was initially thinking like, "Oh, this is just something I'll do in college." Um, but then the pandemic rolled around. I was looking for things to do because I was just in my house, and I was looking at some YouTube content, and I'm like, wow, people not only are they still playing Nerf, but like this stuff is getting like more advanced than when I was in school. Like, let me just so I just look up on Facebook like Nerf clubs near me, and it turns out I live near 3 of them, which is crazy. Most people are lucky to be like driving distance of one, but I was spoiled for choice, so I just showed up. I thought like there was no way I'd be able to compete with these guys or whatever because I didn't know what I was doing, but turns out, um, yeah,
They
it really
sucked, and you were the man. Come on.
I mean,
No lie.
basically, the barrier to entry wasn't as high as I thought it would be. If you're like, if you can cooperate with people and be like somewhat athletic and point a blaster generally the right direction, like you're going to be fine. And turns out I also really enjoy building blasters. So then I've been obsessively tinkering over them.
Yeah, I bet that's a huge draw because people love, it's kind of like cars or guns or blasters. It's probably something where you can like get a base and then customize it to like your specific taste. So people probably love that.
Exactly, and there's the other nice thing about it is that there's not as many big companies involved in it. There's a company called Worker in China that makes some decent stuff. A company in the U.S. called Dirt Zone that makes good stuff. But the hobbyists actually make better stuff than the companies in general. And so that puts us in a position where not only is it fun to tune stuff, it helps you be more competitive, and I think that sets it apart to an extent from like competitive airsoft and paintball, where those guys are at the end of the day assembling a even their customized marker or airsoft gun. They're building that from parts that some multi-million-dollar company has put research into developing and then sold it on the market. Whereas there's parts that I have in my blaster that nobody else has because I made it in my basement, and
Right.
it works better than you can buy on the shelf. That's extremely satisfying to me. So that's yeah. And then once I got involved with the clubs here and started tinkering with stuff, and I started meeting people, got kind of a group of friends, and we realized like the admins don't let us all play in the same team because it just balances things.
Yeah.
Too good.
And I was like,
That
dang,
was crazy to hear.
competitive thing basically because like we're good at the casuals, maybe we'd be good at that too. And then yeah, turns out that I really enjoy the competitive side the most now, and so that's where a lot of my focus is. So yeah, that's pretty much my journey. How about you, Ben?
I also started HVZ at UMBC around 2018, and I was pre-involved. I used to play a lot, especially when I went to UMBC, and then I graduated in 2021, took a little bit of a break, and then around 2022, I came back into the hobby and met Jesse through HVZ. He was there for some games, and we became really good friends, and he invited me to come out to FPT 2022 and NWAR.
That was one of the early competitive events.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, just saying, we eventually got to go to more and more events, which eventually, here I am now, doing more and more stuff with the team, and now I'm on Magic Smoke. And I'm really happy to be here.
I mean,
How about you?
man, this is awesome. This is awesome. Continue. Sorry. This
Yeah.
is exciting.
Yeah, so for myself, you noticed a trend here. I also started in Nerf through Humans versus Zombies.
Okay.
Back in 2016. It's sort of like I think the thing that got like a lot. I think actually every single person on Magic Smoke started in HVZ aside from Anthony.
Yeah,
So
I didn't put that together till now. You're
yeah,
so
like,
right.
pretty much the entirety of our team started playing Nerf through HVZ some number of years ago.
Right.
And I played HVZ for a long time and then kept playing. And somewhere along the line, one of my friends dragged me to a PvP event, and I was like, oh, this PvP stuff ain't shit. It's not going to be anything like HVZ. And then turns out I was like, okay, this actually is pretty enjoyable. Like, shooting at people who are shooting back has a draw to it.
Definitely.
So
Wow.
that was, I think, I started going to like PvP events maybe like 3 years ago or something like that.
Wow.
And then started playing comp 2 years ago.
Mhm. That's
So
crazy for you you as you guys as a team, right? To go not really being, I guess as a team playing competitive that long, and you guys are already double champ. It's like, man, that's awesome. I mean, it just speaks volumes onto how good you guys actually are and how much you guys even care about and work well together. It's awesome.
Yeah, I would say the competitive side as a whole is relatively new. So we've been like we've been developing as players about kind of as the scene advances. Sometimes it feels like we're pushing it ahead
Right.
ourselves because as we get better, the other good teams get better. It just forces everybody to up their game. Um, I would say the first event I would consider competitive would be the Phone Pro Tour in 2019. But then due to the pandemic, that event wasn't held for 2 more years.
Mm.
So then it started up again in 2022. And that was Magic Smoke's first competitive event was in 2022. Um, that did not go well for us. Some of it was we were a pretty green team. Some of it was the organizers of the event were also relatively inexperienced with like competitive events. And so that experience like enough people from our local club attended that event
Mhm.
and came back going what if we had a competitive event but like tried to avoid some of the same mistakes that event did.
Right.
And then that's how we got the Maryland Foam tournament. And
Oh.
that become the one of the biggest events. This year they had 18 teams of 5 to 7 people sign up, and that was filled within like 30 minutes
Oh
of
wow.
the
Oh wow.
opening. I know of at least 3 or 4 other teams that wanted to play that just woke up a little late that day and didn't get in. So
Now,
people are kicking the door down to play at MFT. We're basically limited by like what fields we can rent and how many admins and refs we can have because we can only run one field at a time, and so there's only so many games you can fit in a day. So that really defines how many teams you can have. I mean, I think there'd be demand for there to be 24 to 30 slots. Like, if the slots were there, teams would show up. But yeah,
Huh.
fortunately, we registered. I was there. Like, I was waiting for the form to go up, so I made sure. Magic Smoke actually has 2 teams because we have so many people.
Oh wow.
Uh, I guess I could talk about how that came about because
Yeah,
we
please.
originally had 5 or 6 people. So a full roster for most competitive events is 5. Sometimes you can have a coach. So like Flag Dash allows a coach on the sidelines who's allowed to just stand anywhere on your team's side of the field out of bounds and then make call outs. And that's incredibly valuable position. So we always run at least 6 because if you're playing without that coach, you're kind of blind.
Mm.
And then I I want my players to be able to like scrimmage with somebody.
Right.
And so we started having some practices like in 2022 and 2023. And we had basically people we were friends with, and then we practiced against them. at these practices, and then that became our second team. So as a play on Magic Smoke, we called it Mystic Vapor because it's like Magic Smoke, but not
That's actually
quite.
that's
Nice.
clever.
That's
Yeah,
a
I
cool
like
name.
that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
That's sick.
Wish.com Magic Smoke. I don't know. So that name was just funny, so it stuck. But what also happened was those players, since they're playing with everybody, is and practicing almost as frequently.
Hmm.
They also got good. So then we kind of restructured to not have like an A team and a B team. So this year we called it Magic Smoke One and Magic Smoke A. Um, Because I
Nice.
was gonna call it Magic Smoke 1 and 2, and then somebody suggested that A would be funnier because I think the admins probably hate us now. But
Nah, that'd be
yeah, so now we have two teams, and they're both pretty solid. So that's for this tournament. But with that, we have a roster. I think 12 or 13 players on the
oh
roster.
wow.
So any given event, not all 13 of those people are going to take time off work, get on a plane and like fly out of state.
Yeah.
So the events that are more local will run two teams. Events out of state will run one, or sometimes if we don't have enough people for a whole team, we'll combine with other people.
Oh wow.
Uh,
Because one of the things that's really cool about competitive Nerf is, especially amongst like the high level teams, a lot of us are at the same events very frequently, so you become like friends with the people you're playing
Right.
against.
Right. Right.
Pretty much like at any given tournament, the people making the podiums are people I'm friends with and talk with like outside as well.
Okay.
Right.
So a lot of times, like when we flew out to California for one event, it was only Jesse and I were able to make it. So we hit up some of our friends who have taken like second and third place in MFT, and
Oh.
we're like, "Hey, do you guys want to make a team together?"
Yeah.
yeah, this team's gonna be cracked. Like this is the best people from a couple top teams. It's gonna be good.
So like having the ability to just be like, "Hey guys, like we've played against each other. What if we played together?"
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is a really like neat thing that I don't think you really see in like a lot of other sports of just
No,
like
definitely not.
bonding experience between like other teams. Like everybody's here to have fun and enjoy themselves. So like there's not like rivalries and like animosity between most teams. Like most of the time it's like a team beats you and you're like, we want to see you succeed now. Like it's a really like neat experience that you don't get anywhere else. Like during like the playoffs of MFT 2024, like one of the teams we're friends with got knocked out, and then we were playing the team that knocked them out. And they're like, "Hey, here's what we saw this team doing against us that was working well. Just to give you guys a heads up."
Yeah, I took my GoPro off because in the semifinals, the one of my friends on the other team was like, "I killed you because I saw that thing come around the corner. Take that off for the finals." Like we knocked them out. We won
Oh,
that match anyways.
And he's like, "Here's what you
And he's
messed
like,
up.
You need to do this better. Beat those other guys.
Oh wow.
gotcha.
We,
That
we
is super helpful.
we don't
Yeah.
see that level of like camaraderie in
Yeah.
other sports, at least in my experience.
Not a lot of hating. I like that.
Yeah.
So
So when you're putting a team together like that, I mean, I guess if you're just starting from scratch, or if you just are piecing from other teams, do people have different positions, kind of like a fire team, or like how does that kind of look?
that's a good question. So a lot of that comes down to the blasters that people have and that they're good with, and also their physical abilities. So like if I've got somebody who's a little on the heavier side, they're not fast at sprinting. I'm not going to tell them, hey, go touch the flag off the break because they're just not going to win that foot race.
Yeah.
I'll probably, they'll probably have something that's like a little more accurate, higher rate of fire. They'll hang out more towards the back and support one of our faster players. We often work in like pairs or triples as we move up the field because, you guys are vets like me. You understand like the idea of covering your buddy's
Yeah, for sure.
anger you can't watch,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Type stuff and similar kind of stuff applies. I would say obviously for like the sake of a sport, you're taking risks you wouldn't take with in real CQB. We're just so we're just moving a lot faster.
Wow.
And taking trades and stuff is okay, but
Yeah.
a lot of the same tactics of don't look exactly where your friend is looking, look somewhere else so you can cover them.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff applies. So and then the fields I would say are starting to look more and more like paintball fields.
Yeah.
I think personally I'm a huge fan of that because like there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Paintball's been doing this for a long time. There's a lot we can learn from them.
Yeah.
I've played on some field layouts that were pretty terrible and didn't give you anywhere to go. hardly not even enough cover to hide behind in some cases. So the more paintball styled fields have multiple routes to solve. Like there's many valid ways to win on that field. You just have to execute your plan faster than the opponents execute theirs. So yeah, so I would say like on smoke we don't necessarily have set positions, but we definitely have players who have preferences for diving into the snake on their belly or running for the flag or
Yeah.
covering their friends either with something that's really accurate or something with a really high rate of fire. Ben's sitting here grinning. His signature move is he's got a full auto blaster with a really loud solenoid in it, and I love listening to it because on the field I just hear that clack 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 clack, clack behind me,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
everybody's heads are going down,
Yeah.
and
I like that.
It's
I
scary.
like that. That's what I would be on.
Strike some
Yeah.
fear into him, Ben. Get him.
We got some good footage from NFT last year of like an opponent like doesn't realize Ben is watching the flag and he goes to get that first touch and then just hear clack, 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 and then the guy's out because he just like runs right in front of a full auto blaster. It's just not going to work
Got
out
him.
for it.
Got him. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Matt, you got any questions? I got a couple if you don't.
Yeah, you can go ahead. I can say mine for a little bit.
Okay, so like you were talking about rigs earlier. Like you said they run like $600. Is that what you said? In terms
That
of like
that would be on the high end. Like if you're building it yourself, it could be just $100 in parts.
right.
That's like you find somebody who's really good at building them, and you just say, "Hey, I want this," and they take care of it for you.
That's
Mission building.
great. $600. I feel like is like. I mean, maybe I'm tripping, but is that feels really high? No.
So that I would say like relative to a competitive you know competitive paintball players will spend
Right.
like 2 grand, 3 grand on their markers.
Wow, I didn't
Uh,
know that.
that's
That's crazy.
not a lot of cases that's just something you're buying off the shelf. That's not like
Right.
an expert tuning it for you.
Whoa.
The paint. I would say like from my experience with airsoft parts, like I spent I've spent collectively about $500 on my high kappa build, and that's not really an expensive one. They can easily get north of 2K as well.
Jesus.
Um, I would say for airsoft and paintball, some of that is just about looking good,
Yeah.
or spending money for the sake of it.
Yeah.
We're starting to see some of that in Nerf because like people are getting as the technology gets better and better. At some point, like you have a blaster that's good enough, and now it's
Yeah.
just about making it look cool.
That's cool
Um,
though. I mean,
and
I think
also,
that's a good place to be, huh? I think
yeah, it is. It is.
Also, to give some color to the price point, if you're like building a competitive blaster yourself, you're probably in like the 150 to 200 range.
Yeah.
If you're
Oh, okay. That's a lot more reasonable.
Yeah.
It's like I think that's like to give some more color.
Well,
to
most
the price
people do
point.
that, by the way. That
Yeah.
that is, I would say, one of the biggest differences from airsoft. When I go to airsoft, there's like one or two people there who know how to actually tech a gun. Everybody
Yeah.
else has bought something, unboxed it, and they can put the battery in it and the magazine in it.
Mm.
Most people in Nerf know some level of working on their own stuff, and I would say at least half of them have built it themselves.
I like that.
And
It seems a lot more like simple, but it's like still really effective. It's like it's
Mhm.
not too much money, but everybody has a good knowledge and they make the most of it. That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
What about?
my
Sorry,
yeah,
just real quick.
yeah.
The in the TikTok that we've seen, you guys are wearing like flicks or like some kind of bandolier or just vest. Like
Oh
what
yeah.
it's like? How does that work? Right? Like, are you got mags on there? You've got like what do you
What's
run?
that loadout looking
What's that
like?
loadout, baby? Come on.
Yeah. I'll speak for myself anyways. I usually wear I have an airsoft rig that I've adapted with some 3D printed spacers to fit our Nerf magazines.
Right.
And that's just a Speedsoft belt and that goes around my waist. I don't think that one was in the video because I didn't have it at the time. So I'll do that if I'm diving on my belly because I don't want to crush something that's on my chest.
True.
But in the video, you probably saw the invert bandolier. So there is a company that makes those for real steel, and they're like $100. But there's also an AliExpress knockoff that's pretty well made for like 35. That's what a lot of us are running. I don't know why those specifically took off. I think there's a fair amount of like
one person got
Yeah,
one, and I was like, that looks nice.
Yeah, at some point, I will say there is like kind of a cultural phenomenon within the hobby of like whatever some people who are like winning games are buying, then other people buy it because they think they'll start winning. You actually just have to practice a lot. That's the secret to being good. But people would like to think they can buy things and be good. So there's a fair amount of like kind of purchase the same thing as someone else rather than just test it for yourself. So I like the chest rig because it puts the magazine basically right next to the magazine well because I run a bullpup blaster most
Oh,
of the
nice,
time.
nice, nice.
So that reload is really fast. It's usually under 2 seconds, practically speaking. So that's what I want to see. And it also keeps it secure, keeps it out of the way. Ben, I think you run an invert now, but you also used to have those 3D printed
We
holders.
used to have a belt rig that was very, very simple. It had like 4 magazines on it at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But then you ran an invert rig, which was much, much better. I
Oh,
love the
nice.
invert rig.
Yeah, I think like the general premise for like the core of most Nerf loadouts is like at the end of the day, all you need is like your blaster and your mags.
Yeah.
Sometimes something to unjam if you have like a Springer.
Yeah, but like basically, it's personal preference to like what feels most comfortable on your body.
Right.
Is like what most people go to, but also something that like is secure. Like sticking a mag in a pocket might be comfortable, but like
It's gonna fall out when you
that's
slam it.
not
That's
secure.
true. That's true. It's
So
also
a
like
lot of
might not be the fastest way to do it, you know?
yeah, so it's
Right.
pretty much like a lot of real steel stuff carries over where it's like mags on your chest or like attached to your hip are a really good spot to like
Yeah,
have something to quickly grab that's like out of your way when you're not using it.
I would say we borrow a lot, like philosophy wise, from Speedsoft as far as like the way most people's competitive rigs are laid out. Um, Paintball typically carries more ammo. Most Nerf games have a limit to how much ammo you can have. So like for Flag Dash, you get 600 darts per team amongst 5 players to play 2 2-minute games. So that's like 60 darts per player per game on average. Which paintballers would shoot that in 6 seconds at 10 pulls per second. So they're they
Right.
they play differently, and so therefore like you see those guys with like a big pod pack on because that's just they're just shooting a whole lot more. In Speedsoft, their rigs end up being about the same size because their ammo is tiny. You can pack 270 rounds in a EPM mid cap, so it's you put 3 of those on your chest, you can shoot all day, and it doesn't take up much space. But yeah, I think for a lot of people, especially people like most competitive players are relatively athletic. Um, Being able
And
to
you mentioned team
really,
workouts, I believe, before we got on. Is that something you guys do regularly for the matches? Like it's just your normal practice? Do you guys work out together?
yes. So Sarah's basically our personal trainer, which I appreciate greatly because she knows a lot more about like exercises correctly than I do. I have a tendency to just like not do things right and kind of hurt myself and then stop working out for a bit left to myself. So working with working with Sarah and Ben, it's been nice. We've been doing that for at least a year, just meeting every other twice a week to do workouts. So that plus, I would say your average week, I'm playing like between 1 and 4 games between either airsoft or various Nerf gameplay.
Right.
So that's and ends up being like 4 days out of 7 if there's some overlap with workouts, at least that I'm like active doing something that's building it up, and that helps a lot.
And I would imagine it's more cardio based, correct? Or would you incorporate strength training as well?
Rule one is definitely cardio. As a fan of Zombieland, that's that's one of their rules, and I make it mine as well because if especially for competitive, if you're out of breath and you're stressed, literally your vision will tunnel down into a
Right.
slow zone, and so somebody can run right by you, you wouldn't even see it happening. You don't see threats. A lot of people who get out are getting shot from like a 45 or a 90-degree angle, and,
Mm.
and if you're not looking wide off to the side, you're just going to get out and not even know why.
Getting flanked
So
on.
Getting flanked
yeah,
on.
exactly. Yeah. So having the aware, a lot of awareness like actually comes back to having good enough cardio to just not even be stressed when you're in that situation. I've also found doing like a lot of leg workouts is good because, and then core as well, because a lot of the movements to be in these like 1v1 gunfights is a lot of like quick leans to the side or like fast hops up and down.
Yeah.
And the more of those you can do before you get tired, you're literally just going to be reacting faster than your opponent at that point.
That's
Right,
awesome.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about like rival teams? Like, do you guys have any rivals, or is there like maybe someone you're like worried about playing against? You know?
Yeah,
Well,
who's your biggest challenger right now?
Yeah, I think I think rivals is not like the right word for how things feel in the hobby. It's more
Right.
of just friendly competition.
Yeah, I would say our closest competitors, I think right now is Orca Company. They're a team from Florida. They've got some members in California as well, and they have kind of the same two-team structure that we have
Okay.
because they have a big enough roster. So that gives them so they logistically have the ability to get people to events, right? Because at the end of the day, if there's a really good team in California, but they're not coming out here to Maryland to
Right.
beat me on my home tournament, I'm not as worried about it. But these guys can and do send a whole roster of solid athletes out,
They're
and they
nipping at your heels. That's what you're
yeah,
saying.
exactly.
They took third place in both MFTs, so we took
Yeah.
first and they took third the
Dang.
last two.
Yeah. And honestly,
Got
the
'em.
the way I see it, like if you're getting up on the podium, that's good. And if you can
Yeah.
do that consistently, that's good. So Orca has consistently been, yeah, third, second, at different events, and some of their members have, as part of the mixed teams with us, have placed well. And they were they're really solid players, and that's been like a consistent track record. If there was a
Yeah.
team that like somehow got lucky and they got in first one year, I wouldn't care about that.
Right.
But if you have a whole bunch of trophies over the last couple of years, even if they're not first place, that shows me that the team is serious. So
True.
yeah, shout out to Orca Company. We love
Shout out
them.
Orca.
They're all wonderful people and great competitors. So I want to take first place this year, but if I don't, I want it to be them. Um, so we'll make fun of each other now and then, and there's like some friendly competition for sure. But like at the end of the day, we like each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
I mean that's nothing bad, dude. That's what drives that competition that makes you both better.
For sure.
Knowing that they're right there, you
Yeah.
can't falter because they'll take your spot quick.
exactly. I think
What
there are some people that like the community as a whole doesn't like, or like most people don't like, but that's usually just because they get a reputation for cheating. Nerf is an honor-based sport. The projectiles don't explode and mark
Yeah.
like they do in ball. So
True.
at the end of the
Right.
day, if you just eat a hit and keep playing, the ref didn't see it, like there's really nothing the other player can do about it besides like try to get it on GoPro and try to talk to
True.
the refs afterwards. And so if you just bring that kind of vibe to a competitive event, like nobody's gonna like you, and there are
Oh
people who
yeah.
get for that. Um, but I think I would say one thing that's nice about Nerf is there's not an emphasis on that kind of negativity. Like if you type airsoft into YouTube, first three things that are going to come up are like cheater compilations, right?
True. 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 I've seen a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
those.
100%.
Right.
People fighting, all
Funny,
sorts of crazy stuff.
it's funny to watch. I watch some of those sometimes. It's like, oh, look at that. You get a little like recreationally mad, but it's also not super healthy for the hobby because then somebody new comes in and they're expecting people to behave the way they saw on YouTube.
True.
Whereas like if you look at Nerf content, it's people like having a good time and being nice to each other.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, we even seen that
that way.
even in the comments of that video we saw, there was like some guy. All he said was, "Oh, come on, guys, just play airsoft." And it was like,
Yeah.
how are you? First off, airsoft, Nerf. These are some pretty nerdy hobbies. Like me and Brett, we're no strangers, but you can't try to bully people for doing Nerf when you're the one that's airsoft
That's a good
supremacist.
point,
Like, come
dude.
on,
That's
man.
so true.
Because people leave comments like that on my videos sometimes. I'm just like, yeah, I play airsoft too. Really, really blows their mind. They don't understand that people can have more than one hobby. I guess.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh,
to
go ahead, Brett.
piggyback off that, brother, is I mean, so you guys all have YouTubes, obviously, and some of you guys, you said you don't have TikTok, but YouTube nonetheless. in terms of comments, like are you guys getting hating comments? Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Just like, are the comments positive? Are you? Is there a big draw of people like, oh wow, like this is a Nerf has competitive. Like I really want to do this, or what's it look like?
I think it really depends on who ends up seeing the YouTube video. So
Right.
most of the stuff that I make basically for my friends.
Okay.
So I spread it around on like different Nerf discords, and so then people click on the link there and they go see it. I don't get a lot of like organic views just from people searching for. I don't even know what they would search for to like find my channel really.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make money off it. I have a
Right.
real
Right.
job.
Shit, I'll see you, brother.
That
Come
used to be
on.
just fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like YouTube famous, I
Yeah.
just, I want to put some content out there. People find it and find it fun. That's great.
Yeah.
So I would say like the occasional person who has like never heard of the hobby before and like woke up on the wrong side of the bed will leave a negative comment. I would say most of them are positive, even from people who haven't heard of it before.
That's good.
And then it's mostly just my friends being like, "Oh yeah, that was cool,"
Yeah.
because like they probably were there at the event. They're probably watching it to see clips of them in there somewhere too.
Yeah.
Um, I think some of the ones that have like I posted a couple shorts that like somehow the algorithm picked those up, and then I got like a bunch of people, and I actually had some people like curious about like what game are you playing? That's not an
Oh,
airsoft gun.
okay.
Why not?
True.
And then I was able to like I just responded to them in the comments and like basically gave them the 100-word version of what we've talked
Right.
about here today.
Oh,
Uh,
so
so I love
real
doing
quick, just because I know we're kind of coming down on our time here. Me and Brett also encountered a video of it was titled "The Flank Master Gets Flanked," and
Yeah,
we had
dude.
to ask you what happened.
You got some
What were the
explaining to
play-bys?
do.
that.
How did the Flank Master get flanked?
Which one?
I'm actually curious what the
Who posted that one?
Oh, now he's trying to downplay it.
Wow.
No, no, no. Oh man. No,
We'll have
I'm
to
not. I'm
find it.
not sure. We
Damn.
have to find it. But I
So
believe
my
you're.
nickname was Snake Master. That was one of
It's
our
a young
local.
Asian gentleman flanked you.
Yeah, one of our local admins started calling me that because that was just like my play style is wait for
Right.
somebody to not be paying attention or just keep them suppressed from one of my teammates and then just run up behind them.
Okay.
I like doing that a lot and I'm pretty quick. So I thought the name was funny, so I just stuck. He said there's a DJ called Funk Master Flex. He started calling me Flank Master Flex. I thought that was kind of a mouthful, so I shortened it to Flank Master.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
but yeah,
okay. So I found the video here. It says Flank Master gets flanked in round one of Magic Smoke versus Uno Draw 5. I
Dang.
don't know if you remember that.
that's funny. I'll have to watch that one.
Hey, I'll send it to you later.
Round
I
one, brother. Come on now.
remember, I remember that match. I think I posted my head cam
Nice.
from that game on my channel against Uno Reverse. That was actually an intense match because yeah, they sent somebody down our sideline early on in both games, and it just we responded to it and we were able to eliminate them, but they got further than we expected, and it
Right.
was actually kind of a nice wake up call because that was literally the first game of the day.
Oh
We had the
wow.
round robins ahead of us, and then we had the eliminations. So the team kind of locked in after that. We were like,
Yeah.
hey, wait, nobody's getting past us like that again.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, shout out to Reverse for giving us a good wake up call on that.
And
I'll definitely put that video
does
out.
does anybody else have nicknames? Is it just you, just Flank Master solely?
We call Ben Bacon. I
Ooh.
don't know how that got started, but that's because there's like so many Bens in the club.
Pork Man.
Four people look over.
Yeah.
Or just Goose because he's silly.
Goose the
Um,
goose.
Sarah's Sarah. I don't think we ever. Yeah. Let's
Okay.
see. We've got a lot of people. It's funny. A lot of the community is like kind of terminally online and on Discord a lot. So a lot of people will go by, especially blaster designers, will go by their
Discord
Discord.
names. Oh
Like
wow. That's pretty cool.
a guy named
That's
Smart.
smart.
Like, although he started just calling himself silly now.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people like that who like their Discord name's almost like synonymous with their real name. I don't have anybody calling me Flank Master in person because that's my real name is shorter.
Nah, you gotta get him on the Flink Master train, bro.
Get it tatted or
Oh
something.
God.
Well, I only have like one question left, Brett. What about you? You got
Yeah,
anything?
I mean that's it for me, brother. Go ahead.
So I guess the last thing then is when you guys are at these competitions. I mean, you've taken first twice. What's the prize? Is it just is it a trophy? Is there like a cash prize? You just doing it for the love of the game?
Yeah, so that is a good question. It varies wildly from tournament to tournament. I've won some where they give you a trophy for the whole team. I've won some sometimes they'll give you like parts for a blaster. I would say
Whoa.
Maryland Home Tournament has a lot of sponsors. It's like Out of Darts, for example, sponsors MFT. So when we won MFT, we all got gift cards to Out of Darts' store so we can buy more stuff.
Nice.
There was also $1,000 cash prize split amongst the team for MFT. Foam Pro Tour back in 2022 had a $10,000 prize pool.
Oh wow.
Personally, I actually feel like there shouldn't be more than about $1,000 in cash. You do want to make it a little easier for people who got on a plane to like reimburse some of that expense.
True.
But I found what I saw happen in 2022 was when that $10,000 prize pool was advertised, you had people come into the hobby who had never played before, and they're just after the money. They didn't understand the culture. They didn't really give a shit. They didn't like want to make friends with people. They were just
Oh.
like it brought this like kind of mean vibe that it just was unpleasant. And then combine that with the fact that the projectiles don't mark. So it turns out a whole lot of people will cheat for $10,000 who wouldn't cheat for $1,000, or
Yeah.
a 6-person split of $1,000, right? So I think basically the less dollars you have, and then the more cool stuff you give out, the better. So like we've got trophies, we got medals, we got like custom barrels,
custom blasters.
yeah. People have
Small
made
little
us.
trinkets that are only useful to you if you like play the game.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So like I play with a blaster sometimes that like I won at first place, and it's in special colors, and the designer only made it in those colors for people who won first. So like other people will see you playing with that, and they'll go, "Oh, that guy's on Magic Smoke. He won first, and he got that blaster."
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually
right.
really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's badass. Yeah, that's badass.
So
Yeah,
cool.
somebody coming in, making $10,000, like isn't going to care about any of that. So they're going to see like this prize pool is worthless to me. To those of us like who enjoy the hobby, it's a great thing to have.
We're
So
competing
that's
for the sake of competition, and
Yeah.
the fact that there's a little bit of money if you win is a cool bonus.
yeah,
Yeah, true.
exactly.
Right.
True for sure.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Wow. Man, I tell you, this has been awesome.
Yeah, for real. You guys being our first guest has been really cool. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming on, man.
I'm so glad you guys could have us.
Is there any questions you guys have for us, or is there you would like to shout out anybody or anything like that?
I don't know, honestly. Yeah, the whole Maryland Foam Alliance.
Yeah.
The people who run these local events, and then also Uno up in New Jersey. Shout out to both those organizations. That's really what makes it possible for everybody in kind of a few states around to be able to play this game as much as we do. And they put in a lot of volunteer hours to make it happen. So love those guys, and yeah, really appreciate you guys like reaching out to us and stuff. And
No
if you
problem.
find clubs near you and you want to check it out, I personally don't like Facebook, but unfortunately they are like a good way to meet Nerf clubs. There's a lot of advertising that happens there. You can also DM me and you know like let me know what city you're looking in, and I can connect you with a local club if you want
No
to check it out
way.
sometime.
For
Yeah,
sure,
for
dude.
sure. We'll
And
definitely hit you up. Yeah.
if you want to plug y'all's YouTubes, I have the YouTube list. I'll also put in the description below when this is posted. So
Sweet. Yeah, we've got Sarah has a channel, Sarah Nymphia Nerf. I've got Flank Master. I think probably the best link to put in the description would be our card site, the teammagicsmoke.card.co, because that's got everybody's channels in it. I think Archer and Cobalt also have a channel. Andrew Dark Sweep, he's got a channel as well. All of us are just like uploading kind of when we feel like it.
right.
So for me, like every couple months, Sarah gets around to it more often than me, but yeah, it's always fun to watch some condensed kind of gameplay montages, get a feel for the
Oh
game,
yeah.
get kind of some of the hype going.
Okay. So last thing here, and I guess we'll be done. Is what's next? I mean, I know you guys said the Mayhem next year, if I heard you correct. But I mean, what's going on to work up to that? Are you guys, if I'm not mistaken, you guys are on your way to one right after this, or what's going on?
Yeah, so right after this, we're doing workouts, and a lot of times we'll get together and do like 1v1s or 2v1s,
Right.
just kind of practice with each other.
I think the tournament schedule for this year is in May. There's the Maryland Foam Tournament. I
Mhm.
think then
May, huh?
Later, we're going to Singapore.
later in May, Jesse's going to Singapore. April, and actually, so what's up? Actually, next is in April, we're going to Massachusetts for a flag dash tournament.
Mhm.
Then we have MFT in May. Then June, we're going to California for
More flag dash.
more flag dash, the California Foam Tournament.
Right.
And then October is Ragnarok Oktoberfest back in California for King of the Hill.
Yeah, King of the Hill.
Man, I mean that's a pretty stacked year.
Yeah, yeah, it
That's
really is like,
awesome.
yeah, the tournament season is basically, yeah, 8 or 9 months out of the year, and then there used to be kind of an off season in the winter,
Yeah.
but the local clubs have started running indoor games at like soccer fields
Oh,
indoors
nice. Oh,
that we
wow.
rent out. So there's not even an off season anymore. Maybe I should give myself a break at some point, but
Yeah, take a little R&R, baby. Come on.
That's December's the R&R month.
True, true. Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, hey, thank you guys so much for giving us the time. Um, this has been
Yeah, you guys have been really cool,
this has
man.
been awesome.
We
This is
appreciate
awesome.
it.
yeah, it's great to meet you guys,
Yeah,
and
good
yeah,
to
I
meet you
appreciate
guys all.
yeah, interviewing us. You guys did great. I know it's your first time having,
Thanks.
you know,
Yeah, much appreciated.
yeah, you have questions and keep it flowing, and yeah, it was really great.
Wow.
I bet,
Matt,
dude.
you
If
got
you ever
anything,
need
brother?
anything from us, no, just hit us up. It's nice meeting people
Yeah.
over the internet that you would never meet anywhere else. So if you need anything, let us know. If you're coming to Florida, we're that's where we're from. So
Oh, sweet. Yeah, you should. I should put you in touch with Orca, honestly, because they run a lot of games down there.
What about Texas? I'm in Texas.
I don't know of any.
Like O'Neill, Texas.
There might be a
Damn.
couple in Texas.
Okay.
there's gotta be one in
There's got
Texas.
to
It's
be one in
Texas now.
Texas. It's Texas, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing in Texas.
Damn.
Rip. They're shooting each other with real guns
I
down there.
know.
That's what
Yeah,
they're
sure.
doing.
That's a problem. That's a problem. They're for nothing, baby.
Well, all
Okay.
right, guys.
Dang, Magic
We
Smoke,
appreciate
thank
it.
you guys so much. This has been fantastic. You have my YouTube, so I'll be posting this basically right after. It'll be up in the next hour or two. Um, man, that's awesome. Thank you guys again. This is awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Peace, guys.
You guys take care. Bye.
Bye.